Hello and welcome to Joy in Our Town. I am your host, Tammy Jo Johnson. Joy in Our Town brings you the issues and problems that are faced in the local community with the hope of finding a solution. Our guest for this segment is Chuck Stiteler, State Program Coordinator for Motorcycle Ohio. He joins us today to share important information regarding motorcycle education and safety, along with the laws associated with motorcycle safety in Central Ohio. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me in.
So, motorcycles. Tell us a little bit about yourself first and the history with Motorcycle Ohio.
Well, the program was formed back in 1987, and I became an instructor in 1988, quite by accident. And I've been a trainer with them up through about '08, and then I became what they call a chief trainer, where I train instructors. And then 2 years ago, this coming May, I came in to take over the state coordinator's job. But I've been riding since I was a kid.
Really? And you're still alive. What are your responsibilities as a state coordinator?
Well, my responsibilities are vast. I'm responsible for sustainability of the program, recruitment of instructors, working with our providers, training our instructors, and making sure the program stays in smooth operation.
So, with our segment being about motorcycle safety, tell us some significant differences between driving a car and a motorcycle.
Well, Tammy, there's three things that are really different about being on a motorcycle. First is the visibility, the second is the stability, and the third is the vulnerability. So when I say stability, we're out there on a motorcycle, so the wind, we're affected by that, the road irregularities, those type of things. So where you'll see a car just go straight down a path, you might see a motorcycle kind of like picking a way down through a lane, so we have to make those adjustments for that. Okay. The other piece being the vulnerability is we don't have the benefit of the cage around us, right. The airbags and all that, so we very much depend upon our skill and then our safety gear if something should happen to prevent or lessen an injury.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So tell us, what are some of the laws pertaining to motorcycle safety in Central Ohio? You said that before the show we talked about they have the same laws as passenger cars. Tell us about that.
Yes, we have the same rights and responsibilities as car drivers. I mean, we can't share a lane with a car. We don't split lanes. We have to adhere to the speed limits and that. And to ride a motorcycle is a separate endorsement on your driver's license, typically. So that's just part of that.
I've never driven a motorcycle before, so I don't know what it's like, but I see them, and you mentioned that it's different because they have to choose their path as opposed to how cars can avoid potholes by driving over them, where motorcycles have to drive around them. Is that what you meant? Right,
so you might see a motorcycle moving within that lane. And they do that for a number of reasons. One of the other things is our visibility. So if you take a look at the car lane, we break that up into thirds. So we have a left, a center, and a right. And those would be the two tire tracks and the piece in the middle. So we may be in any one of those lanes at any given time, not only for getting our path of travel, but also to give better visibility, see what's going on, or make me more visible to you.
Okay, that makes sense, because sometimes accidents happen because the cars didn't see them.
That's part of the visibility piece.
So what are some of the things that the driver and the passenger can do to ensure the safety of both?
Well, if you were to go for a ride, this might be, say it's your first ride, and you don't know what to expect. So we would talk about, we might be moving around, you'll feel the wind, it's going to be noisy, and you'll have all that. But I would also tell you to avoid the hot parts. Right. But also how to ride a motorcycle with me. I'd want you to, either hold on to my waist or my belt, or there's grab bars on the seats that you could use. And I would ask you to follow me through a turn. Okay. So like if we were taking a left-hand turn, you could look over my left shoulder. I wouldn't want you to look over my right and lean the other way. Right. That throws our balance off.
Okay, that makes sense.
So we would work together as a team. And the other thing is, as we would ride more, we'd have to practice.
Wow. So yeah, it takes practice for people.
All the time. Motorcyclists have to practice all the time.
Well, just like drivers do too.
Sure.
So as a previous instructor, what were some of your challenges that you faced with students? Were there times that you did not grant someone a license because of anything?
Well, we have a very strong curriculum on getting you the basic skills and learn how to operate the motorcycle. And with that, there comes a test at the end. And see, a lot of people come in to take, they want to get the training to ride a motorcycle. And then in addition to that, if you pass our course successfully, we will give you a completion card, and you can go to the BMV and get your endorsement. Of course, you have to get your permit before you do all that.
Okay.
But there's a practical test at the end of exercises that you've done, and these measure your skills, and it's a very strict criteria. So if you come in to take the class, I don't want you to think it's not a gimme.
Right.
You have to really work at it, and the instructors take us very, very, very seriously. We have 275 instructors across the state, and they're all motorcyclists. And they're very, very passionate about what they do, and they really believe that they make a difference, and they do. So they're very, very adept at seeing what you're doing, have a very good criteria of looking at how you're riding on the range, if you're meeting the advancement points in the curriculum, and so on.
So, I mean, it sounds like they're very thorough in what they do.
It's very thorough. And our instructors go through a very tough training course too. And a lot of them don't make it through the first time.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What are some of the common mistakes made on a motorcycle that could result in an accident? I know you said the kind of like the not balancing and leaning the separate way, but what are some other ones?
Well, for riding in general, I would say probably the biggest thing is don't think that they see you. We're only 4% of the traffic users out there, so it's kind of hard for people to see us sometimes. They're not looking for us. We're not in their mind. The other thing is and take a look at this sometime when you're out driving. Say you have a car and a motorcycle coming at you. The motorcycle is much smaller, so it's a little harder for you to judge the depth and how far that thing is away from you. So what you might be saying is the motorcycle is actually closer, the car's farther back, but they look the same. So you're getting ready to make a left turn, and you're thinking, I have plenty of time. All of a sudden, you find out the motorcycle is closer to the intersection than you thought. And then, so in terms for the motorcyclist, we have to be very aware of coming up to an intersection, that's something that's going on. Also, that we should be prepared at all times to have a car turn left in front of us or pull out, because they may not see us.
Is that what defensive driving is?
That's very much part of us being alert, of being an alert rider. And the other thing that I would say to riders, before you go into a curve, slow down a little bit. Sometimes it's easy to misjudge the angle or length of a curve, and you want to be able to make sure you can see the exit before you start to roll on that throttle a little bit. You don't want to get into it too fast and have a mishap.
Wow. I know for me as a car driver, I usually hear the motorcycle before I see it. And so if it's behind me, it's almost like I'm instantly trying to be careful when I probably don't need to do that, because they know how to drive, right?
Well, we would like you to be more careful.
Be more careful,
Yes,
so that's
please.
okay?
Yeah,
So paranoia is okay,
That's more, yes.
I know that a lot of motorcyclists are unaware of blind spots and things like that. Do you teach about that in your class?
We do. When you go on to a lot of the traffic safety sites, they'll talk about what's called the no zone. And I think you've probably heard it with, the big trucks, big 18-wheelers. If you can't see him in the mirror, he can't see you. Same thing with cars. If you're, off to the sides here of the car, they can't see you. So, we talk about that and not to stay in those blind spots. And then also for car drivers, we have the same blind spots. So if you're riding back here behind us, we may not see you in our mirrors. We certainly want to make a check before we make a move. But, just be aware that we have those same blind spots.
Well, and since we're talking about safety, Chuck, tell me about these helmets. How do you feel about, what's the deal? Or should they be wearing a helmet or no, or does it matter?
We have an initiative that goes with our program. We call it Ride Smart. And just as the Highway Patrol talks about car drivers driving smart, we talk about riding smart. So we talk about the motorcyclist riding sober, and that's not just that's just unimpaired, mentally, physically unimpaired, also from drugs and alcohol. We talk about being motorcycle endorsed. The other part is being alert, and that's situational awareness. And it goes a little bit about what we were talking about coming up, to an intersection and knowing what you're doing and where you're at. The other thing is wearing the right gear, and a helmet is part of that. Okay. And then the last part of that is trained. So that's what we base everything. That's our message to motorcyclists.
Wow. What about? Can you give our viewers some safety tips on riding at night?
Riding at night, first of all, decide if you want to ride at night because your visibility is going to be down a little bit because of the darkness. But you can use the headlights in front of the car to get a little bit more scanning distance. And if you're not up behind a car, you have something coming, so you use your bright lights. Have retroreflective gears that you can wear and make sure all your lights work on your motorcycle. So those are part of it. Make sure you're using the best lane that you can determine for visibility when you're riding.
Wow. Thank you, because at first I was like, I'm not riding a motorcycle, but I feel a lot more safe now just from talking to you, because I didn't realize the extensive training that took place. So for our viewers that are interested in taking a class on motorcycle safety, on how to ride, how do they get in touch with your program, and what are the criteria?
We're very easy to find. You just go into your browser and look for Motorcycle Ohio, and we'll come right up, and you can register online. Prior to that, though, you need to go take the BMV permit test.
Okay.
And you'll have the workbook to study out of and all that. It's very much motorcycle orientated. And when you pass that, they'll issue you a permit. And you can practice on your own, but you really want to come and see us.
Okay. You said you have to get the permit and then you can practice, but they should come see you instead of practicing alone, basically, taking the class.
Right, because we're going to start you out that you've not been on a motorcycle.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today. I know I feel better about riding a motorcycle. So, if you helped me, I'm sure you've helped other viewers. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us in.
You're welcome. Coming up next on Joy in Our Town, disparities in the prison system. Stay with us. We'll be right back.